right. Please welcome to the stage author Deborah Wilson Smart. So how are you this evening?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, Deborah is the author of this book that I have in my hands. It's Hadana and the Skating Club. So before we get into that, I just want to ask you if you can just tell us about yourself.
Certainly. I am a writer and publisher and publishing consultant or coach. I work with first-time and aspiring writers to get their books into print. Then I help them develop their marketing and distribution program. I've kind of grown since I started here 2 years ago with my first interview. I'm also doing a protege program where I'm really teaching my clients everything about publishing.
That's awesome. Sounds exciting.
Yes.
Now, we're going to get right into the book, though. So, what inspired you? Why did you write Hadana and the Skating Club?
Well, I was visiting my nephew and his family in Georgia, and they have a daughter, Hadana. I think Hadana was 7 years old at the time. And during the breakfast time, we would just make up stories. And she would start the story off. She developed the characters that she wanted to have in her book. And I would pick up where she left off, and that night I would, kind of conceptualize what the story would look like, so I'd write it down. So the next morning I would read everything up to the point where we left off the day before. I think I was there for 4 days, so we really had a really nice time. And she is just a gifted young woman, and the book is basically about something that she had experienced.
Okay, great. Now, the person that inspired it, is that basically based on one of the main characters here?
Hadana.
Okay.
Yeah, Hadana. Yeah.
So, if you can give the audience basically a small excerpt of what the book is about, this is your shot. I'll give it to you.
Sure. Have you ever met someone, for whatever reason, just seems to be so mean, and you can't figure out why because you haven't done anything to make them unhappy when you're talking with them? Well, Hadana has a vibrant personality, and she's joining this new skate club. And there's this skating teacher that she is like a drill sergeant, and everybody is so frustrated. And it's really basically about first impressions. Don't let that first impression be your lasting impression, because behind the facade that we put on, there may be some pain. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story.
She'll have her books downstairs. It's funny because I read the book and I smile because, the characters are so relatable. You took me back to when I was 10 to 12 years old, and it's nightmares, by the way, because I think when I was in 3rd grade, I was probably 5'6" with a mustache. So that was bad because everybody thought I was like the big kid. As you see, I haven't grown much since. But it's funny because we've all encountered that teacher, or that boss, that just mean, sturdy person. And the characters, like I said, you have Hadana, who's like free-spirited, eager to learn. Reminded me so much of my daughter. And then you have Miss Molasses, name says it all, but very tough. And she basically, from what I got out of it, she took the joy out of something. So when you were writing this, did you have one of these experiences yourself when you were growing up that helped put these characters together?
I had a lot of really great teachers in my life, so I really don't remember ever having a Miss Molasses. I was really lucky. I was very lucky. And I think a lot of it had to do because I wasn't that outgoing, vibrant person that Hadana is. I was very quiet, very, very shy. And when you're quiet and shy, people don't really see you, so you can hide behind that shyness, So I really never had that experience as a child. Now, as an adult, of course, that's a different story.
You smile there too.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling me Hadana had a situation like that growing up. Do you know what the situation was?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but she was very clear on how she felt about people who were mean.
Okay, gotcha.
And she gave that name, Mrs. Molasses. That was her name. I didn't make that up. So, and when I think about it, a person, Mrs. Molasses, they're really stuck. So the name is really appropriate.
I like the name. I really do. Now, of course, there's a message in the book that I'm sure you wanted young readers to pick up. And it's basically a two-part question. But with the message, if there was what's the word I'm looking for? A life lesson you would like the young listener to get out of the book, what do you feel that would be?
Basically, don't be afraid of people who might be, they got a frown on their face all the time, they never smile, you know, and they're very short with you. And if you do encounter somebody like that, talk to your mom and dad. You know, maybe they can help you understand what that person may have gone through. And, you know, I don't want to really tell too much more, but the life lesson is don't judge a book by its cover.
I like it. Now, you've been working with young authors yourself, so if there was an advice you can give someone out here that's possibly thinking of writing a book, what advice can you give that person?
I always just say, just write. If you have a story in you, just write the story out. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about editing. Just get that story written out on pen, you know, using pen and paper, or using a computer, an old-fashioned typewriter. Just write the story. We have editors that will help frame the story and make sure it moves along from beginning, middle, and end. And you don't want your readers to stop reading your book at any point in time. And that's what we do with content editing. We make sure that the story moves along, and everyone's either enjoying in the right spot, or they're crying in the right spot. But just write it. Just get the story out.
I like it. Now, you have something else exciting going on, and I basically want to open this up to you so you can let the audience know what you have going on with this that I have in my hands.
Okay. As I said, I've been associated with Arts Avenue for 2 years now, and I've learned quite a bit about pastor's heart for supporting our young and our older artists and gifted people. God's given us all spiritual gifts, and we've been born with talents that we can nurture. But it doesn't help if our spiritual gifts and our talents aren't getting out to the masses. I am a firm believer of discipleship. And in November the 15th, I'm launching, and I'm going to claim it, it's a TV show called Smart by Choice TV. And it's not live streamed on television yet, but it will be. I'm believing that. I'm taking Pastor Cedric's approach about soft, you know, rolling it out kind of quietly. It will be on YouTube, available on the internet, but I will be shopping it around to cable and other, you know, there's Bounce and there's Uplift TV. Pray for me.
Very, very exciting. And just lastly, I mean, are there any other books that you've written that the audience can possibly get?
Yeah, I had actually 2 books to decide which to give to you.
Sure.
I've also started my first series. I have a book that will be coming out next month called Pearl, the Little Light That Shines. And that is based on my life upbringing. I came up in the 50s and the 60s, so there are a lot of different things, but a lot of positive things that you don't really see. You always see about slavery, or you always see about civil rights. Well, there were families that grew up during that time that really had maybe some struggles that they had to go through, but we've all survived. And, you know, the first book will be done in November called Pearl, the Little Light That Shine, and it's called the String of Pearl series. That's why I have these pearls on.
Very nice. Well, listen, the book will be downstairs in our concession area when we take our sale out, so you'll have an opportunity to possibly, and the flyers as well, okay? So once again, let's thank Deborah Wilson Smart for joining us tonight.